Brett Yormark is doubling down on declaring that he wants a 5+11 format for the 2026 college football playoff and beyond. Let's talk about what that means and why it is that the Big 12's athletic commissioner is pushing for this. What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you want a 5+11 model? Or do you want this 4+4, +2, +2, +1, +1 BS? Or you just want, the best 16 teams in college football to play against each other in a tournament for the national championship? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to unpack what Yormark is doing as we go through Big 12 Media Days, Day 1, Day 2. Today is Day 1. We'll talk a bit about that in another segment. I'm also going to remind you we got an audio podcast on Apple and Spotify. And if you are cool enough to go to Apple, Spotify, and leave us a 5-star review, I will send you one of these stickers. Just fill out the form in the description below after you do that. Okay, so 5+11. It is the 5 highest ranked conference champions plus the next best 11 or the at-large bids. It feels like the fairest way for us to decide who gets into the college football playoff and who does not, if and when it goes to 16 teams. We've already got a change from the first year of the 12-team playoff to straight seeding in this year's playoff, mostly because Greg Sankey decided to, throw a fit, throw a tantrum, because SMU and Clemson got in, Clemson being a conference champion, by the way, over in Alabama. More SMU than Clemson. But you're also looking at this from the Big 12 standpoint is they got 16 teams, and everybody caught at least two losses in Big 12 conference play last year. And they only got one team into the playoff in Arizona State. And Arizona State acquitted itself very, very well. To say nothing of, they returned damn near everybody to that team but Scattaboo. And people expect Sam Leavitt to be the offensive player of the year. That's his quarterback, right? That was a guy that was not going to start at Michigan State, transfers to Arizona State, turns into a world beater. Say nothing of the guys he's got, like Jordan Tyson. And I think Kenny Dillingham does not get enough credit for the turnaround. Matter of fact, Arizona State, we'll talk about this. They retired the preseason media poll all by themselves. They did that. But Yormark is pitching 5+11 because he wants two things to make known. The Big 12 is a premier conference. Second thing is, this is really about trying to make this as fair for everybody as you can. Usually, you take this stuff with a grain of salt because the commissioners are going to put their conferences first, second, third, fourth, fifth. If they can make a playoff that would just feature their teams, many of them might even think about it, to say nothing of how that might torpedo the sport. It's what the SEC feels like it's trying to do. The Big Ten's less enthusiastic about that, and Big 12 and ACC are going like, hey, guys, we realize that we're down now, but come on, this is ridiculous. And it kind of is, because I would love to see 2-3 teams from the Big 12 get into the playoff in a 16-team league, because 16-team playoff, because they're that good. Like through 1 through 16, there is no better competitive conference in football. There just isn't. Like the top end of the SEC and the top end of the Big Ten are going to be the top end of our sport for some time. But when you get to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I mean, the Big 12 is right there. Like, there's not really going to be in Mississippi State, or until last year, a Vanderbilt, right? Like, you're going to get somebody that can play every single week. I'll give you an example of this. Up until the Cincinnati went to the Big 12, it was the class of the Group of 5. Remember, it's the only team to make the college football playoff in the 14 format as a Group of 5 team, right? Now, they got handled by Alabama, but the point remains. You're also talking about a program that's been really trying to fight its way back since losing Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. Scott Satterfield ain't having a good time, but they are improving, right? 5-7 is not good enough, but they got enough. Brendan Sorsby can be for Cincinnati what Sam Leavitt was. I know this because he went for 426, 4 TDs, and a pick against Texas Tech. He also led the conference in rushing TDs last year. They'll get a guy in Evan Pryor that I think can roll, and quiet as it is kept, you've got 13 years of consecutive 1,000-yard backs at Cincinnati, regardless of who the head coach is. And they just opened a $135 million football facility like 2 weeks ago. Scott Satterfield feels like he's got a team, and I think he does, right? But that's a team that I would pick to finish near the end. Central Florida, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but if we've seen what Scott Frost's been able to do there before. Now, it is a totally different landscape than the one that he was in when he took Central Florida to 13-0 2017 and claimed to a national championship. And he's inherited a team that won just 2 games in Big 12 conference play last year, and 4 is its fewest since 2013. But you can flip it real quick, and he plans to. He got 68 new guys on that roster. Don't know who they're going to be, how they're going to be. We do know that they get a Jacksonville State that's probably going to test them. Could be money in the bag game. If they beat them going away, pick them to beat North Carolina, they're off to 3-0, right? You could see this up and down. Kansas State is a great example of another team that I think just got left out, like Iowa State. Kansas State went 9-4 last year, finished tied for 8th in the Big 12 Conference, right? It's tough. But also, you're going to have opportunities to show just how good your conference is early. Baylor could be great. Dave Aranda believes this is his most talented team that he's seen since he's been there. This is year 6 for him, year 7 for him. Remember, 20 and 21, they won 12 games. They got SMU and Auburn to open. If they beat both of those teams, look out, man. We're talking about Baylor competing for a college football playoff spot because they will have beaten a team that made the playoff and an Auburn team that people expect to be better than they were last year, to say nothing of representing the SEC. So that's 2 Power 4 teams on the schedule. I also think that this is a spot where Brett Yormark believes that he's got the public on his side, and I think he does. None of us want to see anybody get automatic bids. We think that's bad. They're calling that an NFL model, but it's not an NFL model. An NFL model is, did you win your division, and are you top of the wild card? After that, all bets are off. Just ask Dallas Cowboys what it means to make the playoffs. Like, nothing. My Dallas Cowboys have been garbage basically since 1995, and I was 8 years old the last time Dallas Cowboys won a Super Bowl. I turned 38 later this month, dog. I'm damn near 40. What I'm saying is, get to the playoffs doesn't mean jack, but it does in our sport for a couple of reasons. A, the home field advantage is better in our sport than it is anywhere else. Period. Full stop. The amount of money that you can make is akin to what you do in Formula One. So I'm going to use this analogy because I think it's going to make sense to you. So go with me here. Formula One, there's a big pile of money that gets spread out across the 10 teams on the grid. You finish in first place, you get the biggest share. You get the biggest share, you get to put more money into all the things that matter. Now, there is a cost cap, but it really is something you can circumvent and move around, and you're going to get the better drivers that can make the cars do what they need to do. If you can afford to go get Max Verstappen, it doesn't matter that you put it in a Red Bull that might be the 4th fastest car on the grid. He'll put it on pole at Silverstone. Like, he's just that good. That's what you can afford to do. You can go get better things that don't go into your cost cap, right? Down the order, you could see the worse it gets. That's how it works. And in college football, we got a big pile of money that's going to be distributed among conferences and Notre Dame, depending on where you finish in the college football playoff. This is also a billion-dollar business. Consider, ESPN is paying $8 billion for the rights to the college football playoff, and that money is getting distributed to college football athletic directors, commissioners, so forth, so on. We're not just talking about who gets the playoff. We're talking about who gets to make some money here. And if the Big 12 could get 3 teams in, it's 3 more chances that slot machine that you get to progress further. If you do what Ohio State did and you win a national championship, you change the tenor of your conference top to bottom because that money gets spread out across the conference. That's why you are in these leagues, and that's why people want to see value added to a league rather than just adding teams to a league. This is why it took so long for Cadillac to earn an invitation to F1 because they ain't got to let you in, right? This is also why it is important that you are not just building your conference out to build your conference out. You need to build it with teams that you know can provide you some financial advantages as well as on the field advantages, particularly in football. That's why the Pac-12 Conference of Champions going away really upset the apple cart, like it upset the board, because we don't have to consider that league anymore. And that was a league that had SC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, you name it, right, all the way down. Now that league is state conference. It's a group of 5 or group of 6 league now. That's the difference. Meanwhile, the Big 12 was able to continue to hold itself together and add some really good value. Teams like Houston, right? Teams like Central Florida, teams like Cincinnati, teams that would have been in the American 5 years ago. This is what you're after. This is what he's trying to do. Yeah, this is going to be fun.